This is the reference booklet, Unit 1, Graphing of Lines. Unit 1, Graphing of Lines. We're going to learn to graph vertical and horizontal lines, and when you see something that looks like this, x equals -3, what you're actually looking at is all the points where x is -3. So first make a blank template like this. It's all the points where you have a -3, comma, something. That's what x equals -3. It's all the points where x is -3, and then you have something else right there. So the easiest way to graph this is just to graph a bunch of points that have -3. So let's graph -3, 1, -3, 3, and -3, 5. So come over here. -3, 1 looks like this, over 3, up 1. That's -3, 1. -3, 3 is here. -3, 5 is there. So you can see x equals -3 is actually a vertical line going through the x-coordinate of -3. So this line right here is x equals -3. Now let's try a horizontal line. Y equals 6. This is all the points where there's a something and then a 6 in the y-coordinate. Again, easiest way to do this is just graph a bunch of points. So let's graph 1, 6, 3, 6, and 5, 6. So 1, 6, 3, 6, 5, 6. So we have here y equals 6 is a horizontal line. That's all the points where y is 6. Take a moment and get that copied down. Now, graphing in slope-intercept form, this is the one you're most familiar with. So step number 1, what you want to do is always write the slope-intercept equation of a line right underneath it, which is y equals mx plus b. So we have y equals mx plus b. Where b is your y-intercept. And m, of course, is your slope. So in this case, after you wrote y equals mx plus b, right underneath you want to circle it. So we see our slope is going to be -3/5, which means our line has to go downward from left to right. And circle the b, and what's right above it, our b, our y-intercept is going to be -3. So to graph, we're going to start by graphing the y-intercept, which is -3. That's your y-intercept. And then we want to, it's a downward line, so we're going to go down 3, and then over 5 this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could also go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 5. Either way, it must tilt downward from left to right because it's a negative line. So what are the steps? Number 1, always write just the blank equation out. Number 2, pull out your y-intercept and your slope. Double check whether your slope is downward, which is negative, or positive, which goes upward from left to right. And then count your slope out. Graphing from the standard form. There's a couple ways to do this. Step 1 is to change standard form to the slope-intercept form, which would mean to change it to something that is getting y all by itself. Y equals mx plus b. So your goal here is to get y by itself. That's your goal. So right there, If you want to change that to y equals mx plus b, you want to get y by itself. So let's go through the algebra here. So we're going to minus 3x minus 3x. Next line should read negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 9. And then I want to get rid of that negative 2, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 2, every factor. Cancel. Again, your goal is to get y by itself. So I end up with y equals, double negative makes a positive, 3 over 2x minus 2 goes into 9, 4.5 times. So now to graph this, we start by graphing the intercept, which is negative 4.5. So negative 4.5 is right there. And now we have a positive line up from left to right. So we're going to count up 3 and over 2. So up 3, so 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, 1.5. And now we go to 2 this way. 1, 2, right there. And there's your line. That was 3x minus 2y equals 9. Another way is to do this using intercepts. You can use either method. And to use intercepts, you're going to start with what I call blinky eyes, owl eyes, or wally eyes. So it's blank 0, that's for your x-intercept. Let me switch colors. And 0, comma, blank, that's for your y-intercept. So for your x-intercept, if y were 0, you just go like that, pretend it's gone. I have 4x equals 12, therefore x is 3. That's to get the x-intercept. To get the y-intercept, we're going to do this. We put a 0 in the x, so it goes bye-bye. So we have 2y equals 12, therefore y is 6. So to graph this, all you do is you graph your intercepts and string a line through it. So I'm going to graph 0, 6, which is right here. And I'm going to graph 3, 0, which is right there. So that's graphing using y equals mx plus b and graphing using intercepts. So that was 4x plus 2y equals 12. The last thing you need to be able to graph is in point-slope form. We're going to give the point 4, 6, and we're going to use a slope of negative 1/2. So we start by graphing 4, 6, 4, negative 6, so over 4, down 6. So we start with our point, and now our slope is negative, so it's going to go downward from left to right, 1/3. So we go down 1 over 3, or we could even go up 1 and over 3 to the left. So there is our line. And now to write a slope-intercept equation, y equals mx plus b, we're going to use what's called the point-slope form, which looks like this. y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. Here, that 4 is going to be the x1. The negative 6, circle and do the arrows with me, is going to be your y1. And of course, the negative 1/3 goes here. So let's plug this in. We're going to end up with y so the negative 6 goes here. Double negative. The slope is negative 1/3. And the 4 goes here. Ready? Let's clean stuff up. I'm going to bring it this way. So we have y plus 6 equals negative 1/3 x minus 4. Now you could distribute that 1/3 if you wanted to, but I'm going to suggest instead of distributing fractions, let's just get rid of the fraction by multiplying everything by 3 right off the bat. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to multiply everything by 3. Put parentheses. I'm going to multiply that 3 there. So the 3 is going to distribute here, here, and here. We don't go to the internal parentheses. So this ends up being 3y plus 18 equals, that cancels to a negative 1, so this is going to be negative x plus 4. Our goal is to get y by itself. That's our goal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to minus 18. I'm going to bring it over here. So we have 3y equals negative x minus 14. Divide everything by 3. So your final answer here, I'm going to write it in red, is going to be y equals negative 1/3 x. 3 goes into 14 4 times with 2 left over, so it's 4 2/3. Now I know you don't like fractions, you might think you're wrong, but let's look really carefully at our graph. Negative 4 2/3 is right there. That's exactly where the line crosses. And then our slope, we already know, is negative 1/3, so it's down 1/3. It's right there.